Last night God showed me a name, and it's someone who loves you silently. Listen closely. Slow your breath. Because what I am about to speak did not come from imagination, it came from revelation. Last night, while the world slept and distractions fell quiet, God pulled back a veil. In that sacred stillness, a name was shown to me. Not shouted. Not written in fire. It appeared the way truth always does, soft, undeniable, and heavy with meaning. And as soon as that name appeared, the message became clear. This person loves you, silently. You have felt it. Do not deny that tightening in your chest when you think of them. Do not dismiss the strange timing, the way their name crosses your mind just before you hear from them, or how your spirit grows restless when you try to move on. That is not coincidence. That is recognition. Hear me now. This person has not been absent. They have been restrained. They have loved you quietly because they feared disrupting what God was still preparing. They have watched you from a distance, not out of indifference, but out of reverence. They saw your wounds. They sensed your hesitation. And instead of forcing their way into your life, they chose silence over selfishness. But silence does not mean weakness. And waiting does not mean uncertainty. I saw this person kneeling in prayer when no one else was watching. I saw them wrestle with their thoughts late at night, asking God the same question again and again. Should I speak now, or wait longer? Their heart has carried your name longer than you realize. And you, yes, you, have been sensing something shift. That is why the memories resurfaced without warning. That is why dreams started repeating the same face, the same energy, the same unfinished conversation. Heaven does not repeat itself without purpose. Let me tell you something important. This connection was delayed, not denied. God allowed distance so both of you could be refined. If they had come to you earlier, love would have been mixed with fear. If you had reached out before now, timing would have turned into regret. But what is coming has been ripened by restraint. Do you know why this love has been silent? Because it is serious. This is not a fleeting attraction or an impulsive confession. This is the kind of love that asks permission from God before it asks for your attention. The kind that watches, prays, and waits until alignment replaces chaos. And now, hear this clearly, the silence is reaching its limit. There is a narrowing happening in the spirit. A pressure that can no longer be ignored. God does not reveal names without intention. When heaven exposes what has been hidden, it is because the next move is near. You may think, if they loved me, they would have said something by now. But what if their silence was the very proof of their sincerity? What if God asked them to wait, until you were ready to hear it? I need you to stay with this message. Not just listen, receive. Let it settle. Let it stir what you have been trying to rationalize away. Because what was shown to me did not end with a name. There was a moment attached to it. A turning point. A decision that will not be postponed much longer. And when this person finally speaks, when the silence breaks, you will understand why God protected this connection so fiercely. Do not rush. Do not scroll away. What comes next will explain why this love stayed hidden, and what is about to happen when it no longer can. Stay with me. Because what I am about to reveal now goes deeper than affection, it reaches into divine timing, into the unseen agreements made long before you crossed paths. When God showed me this name, I was not only shown who loves you silently. I was shown why they were told to remain quiet. And the reason may surprise you. This person was instructed to observe, not pursue. To pray, not pressure. To wait, not interfere. You see, there was a season in your life where love would have felt like another burden instead of a blessing. God saw the weight you were carrying, the emotional residue of past disappointments, the guardedness you wore so well, the strength you had to develop just to survive. And heaven said, "Not yet." So this person loved you from a distance. They celebrated you silently. They noticed things others missed, the way your energy changed when you talked about your purpose, the sadness you tried to hide behind humor, the courage it took for you just to keep showing up. Their love grew not from fantasy, but from witnessing your truth. And here is what you must understand. This person did not fall for who you pretended to be. They fell for who you are when no one is applauding. There were moments they almost spoke. Moments their heart burned to reach out, to confess, to interrupt the silence. But each time, something held them back, not fear, but instruction. A restraint that said, "Wait. This is sacred." Meanwhile, you were being prepared too. God has been clearing space in you. Breaking old soul ties. Teaching you discernment. Showing you the difference between attention and intention. That is why recent connections felt hollow. That is why conversations that once excited you suddenly felt empty. Your spirit was being trained to recognize depth. And now, this is important, the preparation is converging. The silent one has reached a point where prayer alone no longer brings peace. They feel the urgency rising. Not anxiety, clarity. The kind that says, "If I don't speak soon, I will disobey what God is now releasing." But listen carefully. When they speak, it will not be reckless. It will be precise. They are not coming with confusion. They are not coming to test you. They are not coming to play with your heart. They are coming with intention sharpened by time. You may wonder why God allowed you to sense them before they revealed themselves. Why the emotional pull intensified without explanation. Why their energy lingered even when there was no contact. That was heaven preparing you not to be shocked, but to be ready. Because when this person finally steps forward, the familiarity will feel unsettling. You will think, "Why does this feel like something I already knew?" And the answer is simple. Your spirits recognized each other before your words ever did. Let me say something that needs to be said plainly. This love has been protected because it is meant to last. God does not guard temporary connections with this level of care. He does not enforce silence unless what is forming needs to survive pressure, distance, and delay. This was not about keeping you apart, it was about keeping you pure from distortion. And now, the season is shifting. You are stepping into a phase where honesty will replace guessing. where what was hidden will surface, not dramatically, but inevitably. A conversation is approaching. A moment where something subtle changes, and you feel it instantly. But here is the test. When the silence breaks, will you listen without fear? Because love that arrives after waiting does not rush. It asks for presence. It asks you to be open without armor. And that can feel vulnerable when you've learned how to survive alone. This is why God is speaking now. Not to force anything, but to prepare your heart for recognition instead of resistance. Do not assume you know how this will unfold. Do not limit it to your expectations. This person may approach you differently than you imagined. The timing may feel unexpected. The words may be simple, but the weight behind them will not be. And when it happens, something inside you will settle. A quiet confirmation. A sense of, oh, this is why. But there is still one more thing you must understand, something about the name itself, and why it has followed you through thoughts, dreams, and signs without explanation. Because the name God showed me does not only belong to a person. It carries a message. And once you understand what that name represents, you will see why this love could not remain silent much longer, and why what comes next may change the direction of your life in ways you did not expect. Do not leave now. What I'm about to reveal next will make everything suddenly make sense. Do not rush past this moment. What I am about to speak now is not comfort, it is confirmation. When God showed me the name, He did not show it as a label. He showed it as a key. A key that unlocks why this connection has followed you quietly, persistently, even when you tried to move forward without it. Names in the Spirit are not random. They carry assignments. And this name, listen carefully, carries the assignment of restoration. This person was not sent to excite you temporarily. They were not sent to distract you from loneliness. They were positioned to meet you at the intersection of healing and truth. That is why their presence feels different. That is why the thought of them does not create chaos, but a strange calm mixed with longing. You have confused that feeling before. You called it nostalgia, curiosity, unfinished business. But it was none of those things. It was recognition. You recognized the safety in them before you recognized the attraction. And that is rare. That is divine order. Because when God sends someone meant to stay, He does not begin with fireworks, He begins with peace. This is also why the enemy tried to distort your perception early on. Doubt crept in. Distance stretched longer than expected. Timing felt off. You questioned whether this connection was even real. But hear me. What is protected is often questioned before it is revealed. This person has carried a burden you do not see. They are stronger than they appear, but that strength came at a cost. They learned early how to restrain their emotions, how to hold back words, how to be responsible with feelings that could change someone's life. That is why they did not rush toward you. They know the power of their presence. And you. Your soul required someone who would not overwhelm you, manipulate you, or consume you. So God synchronized restraint with readiness. I saw moments where this person almost walked away completely. Not because their feelings faded, but because loving silently is exhausting. There were nights they asked God, why them? Not in frustration, but in surrender. They wanted to be released from the weight of carrying something so precious without permission to express it. But each time, God reminded them, this love is not wasted. It is being stored. Stored for a moment when it can be received without fear. Stored for a version of you that no longer needs to be convinced. Stored for alignment. And now, something has changed in the unseen. The name appeared because the assignment is activating. This person is approaching a decision point. Silence has done its work. Waiting has produced maturity. Prayer has sharpened intention. And soon, very soon, what has been held internally will need to be acknowledged externally. But let me be clear. This is not about a dramatic confession. This is about truth surfacing naturally. A conversation that lingers longer than usual. A look that carries more than words. A moment where honesty slips through without planning. And when it does, you will feel it immediately. Not panic. Not confusion. But a deep internal click, as if something long unresolved finally finds its place. However, there is something you must prepare for. When silent love reveals itself, it does not ask, do you like me? It asks, are you ready? Ready to be seen without performance. Ready to be chosen without games. Ready to be loved in a way that requires responsibility, not fantasy. This is why God is speaking to you now. Because your response matters. You are not being asked to chase. You are not being asked to force clarity. You are being asked to remain open, to not shut down when sincerity appears unfamiliar. Some of you listening have learned how to survive attention, but not consistency. You know how to manage excitement, but not stability. And this love, this quiet, deliberate love, will challenge that. But it will also heal it. I need you to understand this clearly. This connection does not threaten your independence. It complements it. That is why it waited. And now, the final resistance is internal, not external. The last obstacle is not timing, distance, or communication. It is whether you will allow yourself to believe that something good can arrive without pain attached. Because when this person finally steps out of silence, it will feel undeserved to the part of you that learned love must hurt. But God is rewriting that belief. And there is still one final layer you have not seen yet. One final reason why this name was shown now and not later. Something about what will happen after the silence breaks. Something that will require discernment, courage, and trust. Do not turn away. What comes next will reveal what this love will demand of you, and why saying yes will change more than just your relationship status. Stay present. Because what I am about to speak now is not about romance alone, it is about alignment, and alignment always requires a choice. When the silence breaks, and it will not break loudly, but deliberately, you will be standing at a threshold. Not between two people, but between two versions of yourself. one that remains protected by habit, and one that steps forward in trust. This is where many hesitate. Because silent love, once revealed, removes excuses. It removes the mystery you hid behind. It removes the comfort of, I don't know how they feel. And suddenly, you are no longer waiting, you are being invited. Invited into clarity. Invited into responsibility. Invited into something real. This is why God has been strengthening your discernment lately. You may not have noticed it as preparation, but it was. The increased sensitivity to energy. The intolerance for half-truths. The exhaustion with emotional inconsistency. These were not random shifts in your personality, they were upgrades. You were being trained to recognize sincerity when it appears quietly. Because this person will not come with manipulation. They will not overwhelm you with promises. They will not sell you a future. They will simply show up, present, grounded, and honest. And for some of you, that will feel unfamiliar enough to be frightening. Hear me clearly. Do not mistake calm for lack of passion. This love has depth because it was built in silence. It has strength because it was tested by restraint. And when it finally enters your life openly, it will not try to impress you, it will try to protect you. But protection asks something in return. It asks you to let go of old patterns. It asks you to stop expecting disappointment. It asks you to release the belief that love must arrive through struggle. This is the real challenge. Because you have survived seasons where love came with confusion, inconsistency, or sacrifice of self. You learned to brace yourself. You learned to analyze instead of receive. And now God is offering you something that does not require armor. That is why the name was revealed now. Because God will not allow this connection to move forward if it will be sabotaged by unhealed fear. This is not a warning, it is an invitation to awareness. When the moment comes, you may feel the urge to downplay it. To keep things light. To avoid depth. That impulse will not be intuition, it will be defense. And you must recognize the difference. Intuition brings peace. Defense brings control. And this connection cannot grow where control is necessary. I saw a moment ahead, a quiet one, where you will be tempted to retreat emotionally even as the door opens. You will sense the importance of what is unfolding, and part of you will want to slow it down artificially. But listen to me. Do not retreat from what God has already prepared you for. You are not being rushed. You are being met. This person has waited long enough to approach you with integrity. Do not punish them for the behavior of others who did not love you well. Do not test them with silence just because silence once protected you. This is where healing becomes active, not theoretical. And here is the most important truth of this entire message. This connection will grow only as fast as honesty allows. Not pressure. Not chemistry. Not fear of loss. Honesty. The courage to say, I feel this too. Or the courage to say, I need time, but I am open. Either response honors God more than avoidance. You are not being asked to decide the future in a moment. You are being asked to stop running from the present. Because what God showed me next was not just about love. It was about impact. This connection carries influence beyond the two of you. It will shift how you love. It will soften how you speak. It will stabilize how you show up in the world. And others will feel that change without knowing why. That is why it was hidden. Anything that carries light attracts interference before it is grounded. But grounding has happened. And now, one final revelation remains. Something about what will happen after this love becomes known. A test not of feeling, but of trust. A moment that will require you to remember this message exactly as it was spoken. Do not close your heart now. Do not rationalize away what you feel. Because what comes next will reveal why God waited until now to show me the name, and what will be required when the silence fully ends. Stay with me. Stay with me to the very end. Because what I am about to speak now is the seal on everything you've heard. And seals are not placed until something is ready to be released. When God showed me the name, the final thing He revealed was not about how this love begins, but about how it must be handled once it is known. This is where many divine connections falter, not because they were false, but because they were treated casually. Hear me clearly now. When the silence fully ends, there will be a brief window of grace. A moment where everything feels light, clear, almost effortless. You will feel relief. You will think, so this is what it was. And in that moment, it will be tempting to relax your awareness. Do not. Because clarity invites responsibility. This love has survived silence, distance, prayer, restraint, and time. But it must now survive something more subtle, misinterpretation. Not lies. Not betrayal. But assumptions. Unspoken expectations. The belief that what feels natural no longer needs intention. That is the test. God is asking you to steward this connection, not consume it. To listen when emotions rise instead of reacting. To speak when something feels off instead of withdrawing. To remain present even when fear whispers, protect yourself. Because the enemy does not attack this connection head-on. He tries to rush it, dull it, or distract it. Rush it, so depth is skipped. Dull it, so gratitude fades. Distract it, so alignment is lost. But now you are aware. And awareness is protection. This person will not be perfect. Neither will you. But this is not a love that fractures under imperfection. It is a love that grows stronger through honesty. I saw a moment ahead where you will be tempted to question the pace. Either too slow for your impatience, or too serious for your comfort. And in that moment, you will remember this message, or you will forget it. If you remember it, you will choose presence over fear. And something beautiful will stabilize. Because here is the truth you have not yet fully realized. This person does not come to complete you. They come to walk with you. That is why they waited. That is why they prayed. That is why they loved silently. Completion creates dependency. Partnership creates legacy. And this connection, if honored, will outlive the emotion that introduced it. I need to say this gently but firmly. Do not measure this love by intensity alone. Measure it by consistency. By how safe you feel being honest. By how grounded you feel being yourself. By how little you need to perform. That is how you will know you did not imagine this. And finally, hear this blessing. What God reveals, He also sustains. The name you were shown was not meant to haunt you, it was meant to prepare you. The silence was not meant to confuse you, it was meant to mature you. And the moment that is coming is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to align you. So when it happens, and it will, do not rush ahead in your mind. Stay in the moment. Breathe. Listen. Let truth unfold at its own sacred pace. And if this message has stirred something deep inside you, if it feels like confirmation rather than curiosity, do not keep it to yourself. Quietly affirm it. Stay connected. Return when clarity begins to unfold. These messages reach you exactly when they are meant to. Because the God who revealed the name is the same God guiding the next step. And now you know. The silence was never empty. It was holy.